Hey everybody, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Thelegitcreep and I'm a professional body piercer. And in today's video, I'm going to be talking about the reasons why I may not pierce you. So there's many reasons why a piercer may turn you away or say they can't do it or say they can't do it on a particular day. And there are so many factors that come into this. And I think it's a really good thing to explain to people because a lot of the time people tend to assume that no matter what, they can get a piercing. Like, there is nothing else that factors into it other than the fact that you just put a needle and jewelry through a particular part of the body. And that is not it. If I haven't spoken about it enough, which I know my subscribers, you guys thoroughly understand, but trust me, there are a lot of people out there that do not understand that you can't just always get pierced. You can't just always get pierced.
Damn that shit, don't be a pussy.
Now, there's a very common reason why people may be turned away, and this may be a very obvious one, and that would be anatomy. I've talked about this many times on my channel that if a particular part of your body doesn't line up with what we need to be able to pierce a part of the body, it cannot be pierced. Now, there's many different things within the anatomy that come into whether we can and cannot pierce parts of your body, and it's always best to get your piercer to assess what it is. I mean, your piercer should be assessing it regardless. Like, no one should just be like looking and then just shoving a needle straight through. That's not how it works. We definitely need to be looking at an area prior to piercing it to see if it actually can be done. Probably one of the most common piercings that cannot be done is a navel piercing, and a lot of piercers out there don't realize this and they just go ahead and do it anyway. If it looks like there's a bit of skin there, they think that's enough, that can be done. But a lot of other factors come into it, like how taut your skin is, how flexible the area is, and whether your skin and your body part is really going to accept the piercing. And this is a really common thing that happens, and due to this, we see a lot of people with migration happening to their navel piercing when they've had it pierced somewhere that's just allowed it to get pierced no matter the anatomy, no matter the circumstance. They've just allowed it to happen. So navel is really common. Nipples are also really common, especially in males, because males tend to have either the right size for nipple piercings or the complete opposite end of the spectrum where they have like basically nothing to pierce, and people still assume they can get it pierced when they cannot. And sometimes you will see some crazy body parts that have been pierced with basically nothing. It's holding on to nothing and it was pierced like that. It's not like it's migrating, and that is why it's hanging on to nothing, you know, when piercings migrate, and by the end it's just, I'm holding on for dear life. But they're not holding on for dear life because they were done like that to begin with, and it is just, it makes me shudder. But also, how does a person not look at their piercing and think it looks dumb when it's pierced with no skin? And another one that grinds the little gears within me, and that is people who won't listen to aftercare. And this is why it's really important to go through aftercare before doing a piercing, because you will learn and you'll find out if a person's even going to follow their aftercare, or if they're going to say it's like ridiculous and they don't believe in it and they don't need to clean their piercing. Now, I've definitely had people in the past where you're explaining the aftercare and they're like, nah, I've never cleaned my piercings before, it'll be fine, I don't need to do it. And those are cases where you really have to drill into the person the importance of it and why they have to do it. You will get people who are just straight up like, nah, not having it, not listening to you, you don't know anything, I'm just here to get it because I can't do this myself. In those cases, I'd rather you just do it yourself and have it completely fuck up. I've definitely turned people away when they've been so blatantly rude about like not wanting to listen to me and not wanting to listen to the aftercare. I don't care if you don't listen to me, I really don't. But if you're gonna straight up just say like, I'm not doing it, I'm not doing the aftercare, I just won't do the piercing. And I mean, we could just do the piercing and like take their money and just be like, okay, good luck, have fun with that piercing. And I mean, sometimes some piercers will do that. However, they're also going out into the world with your piercing and your studio on display. If they're telling people, I got it done here and look at it fucked up because they didn't follow their aftercare, that is when it's like, that's not okay. I'm not okay with that. Does that make sense to you guys? You go and do whatever you want with your piercing and don't look after it. But then when people ask them where they got it done and who did it, they're gonna go, I'm never going to that person because your piercing looks fucked. And there's a reason their piercing looks fucked, is because they didn't listen and they're not gonna do the aftercare and they're cleaning it with fucking metho, or they're cleaning it with soap in the shower. It's super irritating, and that's a strong reason why sometimes I'll just be like, no, I'm not doing it. Because you're not going to listen, and you don't deserve the beautiful piercing that I'm going to give you, because you're just going to destroy it. You don't appreciate my hard work, so I'm just not going to do it for you. Simple as that. Now, this is one that a lot of people don't realize. Now, it might be a little more common in today's day and age because of COVID that people won't leave their house if they're sick, and certainly aren't going to get any personal services done if they are sick. However, even before COVID, it was always a practice within piercing studios, at least it should have been. And I've certainly worked in some where people haven't followed these guidelines, and it made me very, very angry. But aside from that, is that neither the person getting pierced nor the piercer should be sick. So this is obvious in today's day and age. Like, people shouldn't be doing that anyway. You shouldn't be going anywhere if you're sick. But this should just be common knowledge. But this was certainly a practice that was in place in piercing studios before COVID. And that is because the piercing studio is a sterile space. And if you are bringing sickness and infectious disease into the space that is supposed to be sterile, that is now contaminated. And it's always just been a huge part of what a piercing clinic is. It's a clinic. It's meant to be kept clean and sterile and sanitized. And it cannot be that way if someone is sick in the room. And the same goes for the piercer as well, because the piercer can't be sick and they're going to be in there all day spreading the grossness all over the place. Not saying someone's just sneezing and touching and like rubbing their snot all over the place, but like, you can't be sick in there. It's an important practice of a sterile space to not have sick people in there. Does that make sense? I feel like it will make a lot more sense now because of COVID, which is great, because it was something that always made me very mad in the past, because now I'm having a little bitch. It made me very mad in the past because even times when I was sick and I knew I shouldn't be in that studio, and I would have people I worked with saying that I had to come in because there was no one else to pierce that day or whatever it was. And I was just like, this goes against every policy and every like practice of infection and disease control. So that made me very mad. But now it's like they're not allowed to do that because of COVID, which is great. I mean, like, not COVID isn't great, but like, that's one thing about COVID is that people have learned how things spread, and people have taken it more seriously in the workplace, where people just didn't before. It was like, anyone has to go into work sick, you just got to do it. And like, yeah, okay, that might be okay in some workplaces, but it was never okay in a sterile environment. So the fact that like, they would just be like, you've got to come in, we've got no one else, you're sick. And I'd be like, I'm not doing it. Yet people would ignore that for sales and for money. And that's never okay for me. Now, another reason that we may refuse a piercing is if someone is underage or they cannot produce their ID. Now, this is especially important when it comes to genital piercings, and nipples are included in genital piercings as well. And that is because if you are to even see that area as the piercer and that person is underage, you can go to jail. It's as simple as that. Like, you do not want to allow your, like, why would you want to? Ick, disgusting, don't want to. But also the thing that's really risky with that and is scary for piercers is the fact that we don't want to see it. We don't want to accept piercing someone underage. And the reason we get so serious about this, and people can get really mad about it if they are over the age of 18, just like people do in, I guess, like bottle shops, like buying alcohol, that sort of thing. People can get really mad about getting asked. It's because the people asking you that can get in so much trouble if they are to like provide you with that alcohol. They can get insane fines. And for us as piercers, if we were to see that area of someone underage, we can get insane fines, and we can also go to jail. And also, we don't want to see it. Like, yuck. It's definitely something that I get really frustrated with, because you will get people who are over the age and they can't supply their ID. And it's like, sorry, but this piercing is something that I'm not gonna like fuck around with. I'm not risking myself going to jail and seeing a minor because you didn't bring your ID, even if they are over the age. Like, I get that you're over the age, but like, I don't care. Yell at me all you want. Actually, don't. I would rather people not. I would like people to understand why we're so stern about it, because it's like life ruining if we were to go ahead with it and that person just so happened to be even a week before they were 18. Like, we don't want to see it. It makes me sick to my stomach even to discuss it to begin with. Like, I don't want to see it. And I don't want to be put in a situation where someone is like, no, just let me do it because like this one time will be fine because I am older than 18. I can show you it next time. It's like, no, we're not doing it. Just bring the ID and there won't be any problems. But there's always problems when someone doesn't have ID, and I'm not risking it. And anywhere who, like, I suppose is legit enough, they should have that person's information on record. So if anything were to happen, we as the PSA and as the company that you're working with can show that documentation and be like, no, we checked this, they were this age, like, we're covered. Bring your ID, you'll get it done. No one has to have a fight, but everyone who doesn't bring their ID has to have a fight. Like, it's that simple, that it is such an important rule, not only for the studios that you're working for, but also yourself, because you take full blame basically. And like, I don't want a part of it. I don't want to be a part of any of that. So bring your damn ID, you'll get those parts of your body pierced. And it makes complete sense. Those things shouldn't be pierced until the person is an adult. Those areas should not be seen by people. Like, does that not make sense? You are a child before then. It's sick. We don't want to see it. End of rant there, but like, it's ick. Don't test us. Granted, most of the people who fight you are over the age of 18, but it's too much of a risk to, if someone were to somehow look so much older, which people do. So if someone were to look so much older and you just went, oh yeah, this time it's fine, and that time just so happened to be the life ruiner, no thanks. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please give me a like down below and subscribe to my channel if you're new here, and I will be back very soon.